if it was such a good book, why did they throw it away? How many of you have a box or a bag in your car with books in it? So I see a few hands. Okay, is that any better?
Oh, much better.
Okay, so we, in every one of our vehicles, have a box, and I keep books and stuff in there. And I pray that the Lord will give me opportunity to share the right book with the right person, and He does. And we don't know if somebody's going to grab their book out of the dumpster like I did. But I remember a friend of mine who I worked with, who trained me to do drywall. We were on the ferry going to towards Shaw Island to do a custom house out there. And I had my at that time I had a briefcase that I carried full of books. And in the book, or in that, I had a couple of new books. One was called The Open Secret. And as we were sitting in line on the ferry, I noticed some nuns walking. And I thought, oh, I should give them a book. So I went over there to give this book to the nun. And she takes the book and she looks at me weird. And I go hopping off thinking, all right, I gave her a book. Maybe she'll read it. And I get to the truck and there's Joel's laughing. I said, well, what's so funny? He says, man, as soon as you gave that to her, she looked at you again and looked at the book and threw it up on top of the newspaper box and walked on. And I turned and the line opened and now we're driving off and I'm thinking, oh, man. But I don't know. Someone might, and I'm sure someone picked up that book.
Amen.
So we got on the ferry and Joel's tired because we had to get up early to get on the ferry. And I go walking around and I get all the way up to the third deck. And there's a guy sitting there with a black suit on. He had a little bit of white in the middle of his collar. And I, oh, that's a priest. And so I started talking to this guy and I started asking him, do you believe that when God blesses something, he does it forever? He says, well, yeah. I said, well, what about the Sabbath? And I handed him my little Bible. And it says, can you show me where God changed the Sabbath and took away the blessing? And he has my Bible, and we're up on the outside deck, and there's the water, and he's going like this, and I was thinking, oh no, don't throw my Bible in the water. I don't know why I think that, but I didn't know. And he says, here, I really can't quote scriptures like that well. I said, oh, okay. And we talked for a little bit, and I told him I'm a new Christian, and then I went and we went and sat down, and then I got up and left and went down to the car deck, and I started talking to Joel. And I said, Joel, man, I got to talk to a priest up there. And he says, oh, did you give him a book? And I thought, oh, no. So I grabbed my case and I grabbed that same book and I'm running up there and I give it, here, man, I wanted to give you this. And he says, oh, thank you. I'll read this, and then he gave me $10 and he insisted. And it was really interesting how one person threw it away and somebody else paid for it. And yet we don't know, because myself, I found it in the dumpster.